Yo, 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 what up? It's Cramp Lord here. I'm back with the bottom 15 films of 2024. That's right. Now, I've run into a little bit of a problem here, okay? Run into a little bit of a problem. So, as you know, there are some films that come out at the end of the year that are kind of like slated for the prestige. They're like the films that are trying to get awards, so they try to squeeze them in at the end of the year. And a lot of times, for some reason, they'll be slated to come to a theater, and then they never do, and then they release in January, and it's really, really annoying. And I find it kind of unfair that I have to talk about them basically a year later and try to tell my thoughts about a movie I saw a year ago. So, because I'm late to the party with these videos, I thought I would just go ahead and see them and talk about them in this year's list. Now, I saw one of them today. There's two more that I want to see. One of them doesn't even have any dates still, which I'm very, very sad about because I really want to include it in this list. That would be Mike Leigh's Hard Truths. But unfortunately, it doesn't have any dates, so that one most likely won't make it. But it could. And I saw one, like I said, I saw one of those films today. And that film made it in my bottom 15, which means that the film that was initially going to be my number 49 spot, my 49 spot, has now been upgraded to the 48th spot, which means that it's actually technically a CreamBetween now. So, I'm actually going to start with that one. Even though it's not in the bottom 15, keep that in mind. It is a CreamBetween. It didn't make my bottom 15. But I'm still going to talk about it here because, sequential order and all that shit. All right, let's get started now. So the first film, a film that is not in the bottom 15, this would be number 16, but it would be number 48 in the whole grand scheme of things out of 63 movies now. That's going to be Her Story, which is a Chinese film directed by Xiao Yihui. And this is kind of a Eastern response to the more modern waves of Western feminism. More like I wouldn't say Eastern, it's more just like Chinese response, because I feel like that's kind of come quicker in other countries. And then, they all, when it comes to Western ideas and societal changes, every country kind of implements it and interprets it in a different way, So yeah, this is kind of China's where they're at right now with Western modern waves of feminism. And I just want to preface that this is a movie I do not like. I mean, no, sorry. This is a movie that I don't dislike. I think it is a completely average movie, just like Long Legs, which is the movie ranked just above it. I think this is a very average movie. I don't think it's bad. I don't dislike it. I think it is average. And while I do think it does some really cool things here and there, especially with its main character, which is like this little girl who lives with her mom, who's kind of like this girl boss, she's adopted kind of the Western waves of feminism and that kind of thing. And she's surrounded by these, kind of with the times contemporaries of late 20, early 30-year-old peoples. And basically, this daughter that she has is slated to be like this female excellence. And her daughter is just like she's not really about it. Like, she's just, what if I don't want to be remarkable? And I think that's actually a nuanced thing that a lot of the millennial generation had to kind of tackle a while ago, and now you're kind of maybe seeing it over in China. I mean, not like I know exactly what the fuck is going on in China, but like I feel like this movie might be a little bit of a glimpse into what is going on socially over there. And yeah, I think it's really fucking corny at sometimes. I think the emotions that it tries to elicit are a little much, but I think it was an interesting watch. Way too long. If it was shorter, I'd probably like it more. But yeah. But now we're getting into movies that I would say I disliked. And the first one is Robot Dreams, which is directed by Pablo Berger. This is a Spanish film. It's an animated film. And it is about, I think, 80s New York City. It's set in New York City in the 80s. And all of the characters, it's like Zootopia. All the characters are representations of like people's personalities, and they actually I think that's the thing that I like about this movie the most, is that it really does a good job at portraying, you know, people's their dispositions, their personalities in animal form. And I know that's been done before, but I think this movie does it exceptionally well. But I think that's really the best thing about it. Otherwise, I found the entire plot of this thing to be so fucking annoying. It does this thing where it creates this situational conflicts to drive the plot that are just completely avoidable. They're frustrating for frustration's sake, and they try to elicit like this grand emotion out of the viewer that I was not buying. I found it really just... I wish it was a short film. That's how I would say. I wish it was a short film, because the whole thing just feels fucking stupid. Yeah. Off the cuff edition. Just remember that. This is off the cuff. Next up, we have Dee Dee. In my review of this, I called it Dee Dee Mega Doo-Doo. And that is directed by Sean Wang. This is a movie that's really well liked. I don't really know why. I found it to be very... For a film that is coming of age, it's not very coming of age at all. In fact, nobody really comes of age in this movie. I found this kid to be like a little shit, a very unlikable little shit. And I just felt nothing from this other than like, damn, that era of my life sucked. I hope to never revisit that ever again. And if that's what it was trying to elicit, cool, great, you did it, but that's really the extent of it. Obviously, a very easy comparison to make is Jonah Hill's late 90s movie, which I fucking hate that movie so much. And I hate Jonah Hill. Shout out to my hate of Jonah Hill, by the way. Shout out to my hate of Jonah Hill. Fuck that guy. And yeah, just I wasn't buying this movie at all. Moving on from there, we got fucking... Oh, I'm gonna get more and more heated as this goes on. We're talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This is directed by George Miller, as you probably know, the director of all of the Mad Max films, I think, unless there's some Mad Max films I do not know about. And I was so fucking hyped for this movie. This is one of the few movies that I went out to the theater to see during the summer. And I think Mad Max Fury Road is one of the best films, the best action films ever made, if not the best action film ever made. Fight me. And this just did not live up to Fury Road in every single way. Now, you could argue that It's not trying to live up to Fury Road, but when you put the actual clips from Fury Road and put them in the end credits, it kind of sounds like you're trying to live up to Fury Road. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Anyway, I think we have, and this is going full circle here, back to my Neil Druckmann rant. I think we have a Last of Us Part 2 situation on our hands here. Because, I mean, you think about the themes, they're pretty much exactly the same. You take a really interesting world that was built, in the previous Mad Max films, but Fury Road kind of is standalone in a way. But there's so much of that world that's so fascinating, and it raises so many questions, and you have all this room to just like create lore and the mysteriousness of the world. And this movie just fills in all the fucking gaps. And that's not exciting. It makes this world boring. It makes this whole ordeal seem like a waste of time. And all the action scenes, everything looks fake. I know a lot of it's real, but yet the real shit even looks fake. And what was so great about Fury Road is that everything just felt so real. And yeah, I just did not see what others were seeing in this movie. I thought it failed in almost every way that it could when it comes to, I mean, it's still like a good film, like standalone, if you didn't have, Fury Road as the previous film. But I mean, it doesn't live up to it. You have expectations and it just fucking flops. That's my opinion. So going on from there, we have The Substance. Oh boy. This is directed by Coralie Fargiet. I don't know. Yeah, wow, this was a crowd pleaser. A balls to the wall body horror experience. And this is the kind of shit that, it's not the main reason that I don't like the movie, but when it comes, like, the body horror here is really, really good throughout the whole fucking movie. It's really amazing. But it's the same problem that I run into with, like, the John Wick films, specifically John Wick Chapter 4, where everything is done so perfectly, so well, for so long, that it gets to a certain point where I become numb to it. I become numb to the whole concept that it's doing so well, and then I'm just bored. And that's what was happening here with body horror. It got to a point where I was just fucking boring. And oh my, you want to talk about a movie that just hammers in the fucking subtext, the allegory, the metaphor that it's trying to make to, like, beauty standards and all that shit? Like, just hits you over the head with it over and over and over and over and over again. And it's like, well, that's the point. It's like, I don't fucking care. Dude, my brain was a pile of mush by the end of this because of how much the point was hammered into my brain with such force. I just left tired. Like, I thought it was fucking stupid. Moving on from there, we have September 5th, directed by Tim Fellbaum. I went and saw this for an AMC screen unseen and was quite disappointed when it was this movie, because when I saw the trailer, I was like, that seems like Israeli propaganda. And sure enough, it very much is. And if you hear that and you roll your eyes, I actually encourage you to tell me how this isn't, when it has such a bland representation of who these quote-unquote terrorists are, and is just like the enemy. It's like in Top Gun, when the fighter jets that are going after them is the enemy. They literally just call them the enemy. And so yeah, I have a hard time with not looking past that at all. And so fuck that movie. Next up, we got Lapata Ladies. This is from India. Is directed by Kiran Rayo. And this is kind of another example of the Eastern approach to Western waves of feminism. And I think her story does a much, much better job than this film does. Her story actually kind of it explores the nuances and the questions to arise from implementing those sort of things. Whereas this one just kind of accepts it and it preaches. And I'm not saying that anything this movie is doing or the themes that it's exploring are wrong, but it's like, I guess for an Indian audience, that would be more interesting, especially the more conservative, viewers. But I mean, for me, somebody that's living in the West, like this felt like a fucking Lifetime movie. That felt like a Lifetime to finish. It was so fucking long. Oh my God. And it wasn't funny. It's a comedy and it's not funny. And there's a certain point where I can put up with kind of Bollywood corniness, I can put up with it because I realize they just have a brand of humor that won't necessarily translate for everybody, and so like I kind of look past it. But it was hard. It was hard here, and I could not get on its level. So unfortunately, Lapata Ladies was not my cup of tea. Moving on from there, we have, oh my God, this movie. We have Small Things Like These, starring Cillian Murphy and Emily Watson, who's in this movie for like 5 fucking seconds, by the way. It's egregious that she's put on as like one of the main cast. Not that it would make this movie any better, because this movie, just the base of this movie sucks. And this entire movie can be explained by thinking about a shot, and you've seen it before in Oppenheimer a little bit, a very, very close-up shot of Cillian Murphy, who's like breathing really heavy. He's looking, maybe he's like about to break a sweat, and his eyes are really wide. You know how he gets them really, really wide? And he's like breathing, and he's like contemplating his morals. He's trying to make like a moral decision. He's like, should I do it? Should I not? Should I do the right thing? Is this the right thing? And it's that for like an hour and a half. No, more than that. More than that. Okay, it's not that much more than that, but it's way too fucking much. I mean, it's just, there's nothing here. And it's that for an hour and a half. It's fucking annoying, man. And like, that's the whole movie. Until he makes a decision, finally. But I don't know. That's all I have to say about that. That's all I have to say. That is my critique. Next, we have Aisha, which is another Irish stinker. Which is directed by Frank Berry. It is about a Nigerian immigrant in Ireland who's living in some immigrant, or not immigrant, refugee housing in Ireland, and it's kind of about the mistreatment of refugees in certain parts of Ireland. I'm actually not exactly sure what city or town this is supposed to be set in. But anywho, and yeah, I mean, I just found this to be very much a sympathy thing. It's like, look how miserable, look how bad this bad societal thing is. Isn't it bad? And then like a viewer will watch that and be like, damn, that sucks. And then they'll move on. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing transformative about this film. It just shows you something bad and then it goes away. And there was nothing compelling about the different characters in this film. Josh O'Connor, I felt was just there. Like they have some sort of like relationship thing, but then it's just this felt like so flat. Like I said, there's nothing transformative about it. It does nothing. It does nothing. And that's all I have to say about that. That's all I have to say about that. And next, we have the film that I saw today, and boy, oh boy, have I had a moment to think about this one. We have the probably front runner for many, many Oscars. We have, getting the director's name, Brady Corbett's The Brutalist. I really wanted to give this a half star, but it's not. It's really well made. It is in terms of like form, how it looks, all the different aesthetics, what I like. It's well made. And I can't ignore that, so I'm not going to give it a half star, but God almighty, this film pissed me off. It pissed me off, dude. It is such a pessimistic, misery porn, like fence riding piece of shit that caricatures everything about the immigrant experience, or more specifically, the mid-century America post-World War immigrant experience. Which, by the way, if you want to see a really good movie about that, which is actually directed by a Jewish guy, Brady Corbett is not Jewish, he's just a liberal, and watch The Immigrant from 2004 from James Gray. Fantastic movie. Fantastic. And it is pessimistic, but it actually has something to fucking say. It actually raises some fucking questions. You know? With the film, like, you don't have to make a definitive statement. In fact, I usually don't like it when films make definitive statements, because I think definitive statements are dangerous, and I think they are fickle. Even that sounds like a juxtaposition, but I think they have a lot in common. Anyway, but yeah, you don't have to make a grand statement. Just raise a question. This film does nothing. It just shows you this miserable experience of this Holocaust survivor coming to America, looking for that American dream, that kind of thing. And then, like, it sprinkles in some little Zionism things in there, and it's like the creation of Israel, and then it goes away for a little bit, and it's like, oh, his niece wants to go to Israel because the guy that she's marrying wants to go to Israel. It's like, okay. And then they end up having such a miserable time that they end up going to Israel. And, like, I don't think, a lot of people are calling this Zionist propaganda. I don't think it is. I wouldn't go as far as saying that. But there's also people saying that's anti-Zionist propaganda, which I also don't agree with. And I just think this film pussyfoots around the whole thing. And like I said, you don't have to make a statement about it. You don't have to agree, disagree, or anything. But it just has nothing to say about it. It's like it's like somebody coming into a room full of people who are usually very opinionated about certain things, and you like bring something up controversial, and then you just leave the room. And then there's like some, explosion about it with the opinionated people. Like, and oh my God, Brady Corbett's up his own fucking ass with like the grandeur of this movie. Oh, fuck this movie, dude. Fuck this movie. I'm very passionate about it because I just saw it, and it was 3.5 hours, and I didn't realize that it was going to snow today, and I walked out and it was snowing, and I've never driven in the snow. Luckily, I didn't crash. A lot of people who get snow every year will laugh at me, but I live in a part of the country where we usually don't get snow, so it was a little bit freaky. Anywho, yeah, fuck that movie, dude. Fuck The Brutalist. It's going to get so many awards, too. All right, next up we have Bob Marley, One Love. Bob Marley, One Love. Directed by Reinaldo Marcus Green. Yeah, this is just another shitty biopic, musical biopic that turns a very good, cool, influential musical figure into a character of themselves and kind of turns their entire life story into a novelty, just like that Freddie Mercury one and the Elton John one and all the other ones. They're fucking annoying. I can't wait till these stop. Next up, we have the Book of Clarence, which is directed by Jemez Samuel. This is kind of a Bible, what was it, like revisionist biblical interpretation. Not revisionist. I wouldn't go that far. But it's basically like inserting black culture into the tale of Jesus and kind of remixing it a little bit, you know? I don't have a problem with that at all. In fact, I would find that very intriguing. That sounds like a very fun movie, right? It sounds like a really good movie. But I don't know what this movie was trying to say. It was such a mess. My entire, like, me coming out of the theater after seeing this was just like, there's like a big question mark hovering above my head. Because that's how I felt. I just didn't know what this was doing. Yeah, it's just a big question mark of a movie. If you have some sort of revelation to give me, please enlighten me. Otherwise, I don't know what I watched when I saw this. Maybe I'm just uncultured. Moving on from there, we have Your Monster, directed by Caroline Lindy. This was just a theater kid nothing movie. It was a AMC Screen Unseen thing. I would have never seen this, and for good reason, because it sucks. It's like, this movie actually could be really good. The premise is actually really, really good. However, its execution is so vanilla, and nobody's really likable. It's like it's a theater kid movie. Something that, yeah, you get it. All right, let's move on. Next up, we have Blink Twice. This is from Zoe Kravitz. This is my third least favorite film of the year. Yeah, this just felt like shoveled slop. It's doing the, I don't know, there's a bunch of movies that are like this, where it's like, go to rich person's house, turns into House of Horrors, some sort of allegory to abuse or like capitalism or whatever. I don't fucking know. It's shoveled slop. It's shoveled slop thrown at your little disgusting face. I'm doing a great job. All right, next up, second least favorite film of the year is Drive Away Dolls from Ethan Coen. Ethan Coen has released some stinkers in the past, but this one takes the cake. This is a piece of shit. It is, it feels like a parody of a lesbian buddy comedy. Like if you were making a satire about, I mean, the movie is kind of satire, but it's like a satire of a satire. That's what it feels like. But it's not. It's not that. It's just bad. And I watched this with my lesbian sister, and she thought it was fucking horrible. And so yeah, we both agreed on that one. And the only reason why this, if I watched this whole thing, it probably would have gotten a half star. However, we didn't finish it, and my philosophy with not finishing a movie is that if I didn't finish it, I can't give it a half star, but I can give it a 1 star. And lastly, My least favorite film of the year, number 63, is none other than a little film from Austria, I think, or maybe it's actually no, I think it's German. Called The Teacher's Lounge, directed by how do I say this? Uh, Iker Katak, Iker Satak, something like that. Yeah, this one pissed me off. It just pissed me off like a lot, and it's frustrating for frustration's sake. It's another case, kind of like with Robot Dreams, where it's just like these situational conflicts that are so incredibly stupid, where like logic just leaves the room, and you don't buy any of it. And then but what's really annoying about this movie is that it's trying to be like prestige, with the way that it looks, the way that its whole aesthetic, and it's just so fucking bad. It's trying to be The Hunt. It's trying so bad to be The Hunt, and it's not. And I found it so incredibly funny that a group of middle schoolers was able to come together as a unified body against their teacher. We're talking about a group of middle schoolers here. It's just so stupid. It's supposed to be this dumb allegory to like fucking, it reminds me of that terrible Nicolas Cage movie that came out last year. I can't remember the name of it. It's one about dreams. Anyway, it reminded me of that, in that it was like a really cheap statement about not cancel culture, but like the way young people are. And I don't know. It was dumb. Movie dumb. Anyway, that's going to do it for my bottom 15. I'm glad I don't have to talk about these movies anymore. Hopefully the last two movies that I see, I know Hard Truths won't be in my bottom 15. There's no way. The other one, I don't know if I mentioned it, but Nickel Boys is the other one. I don't see that one making my bottom 15. I think I'm going to like that one a lot based on what I've seen. I thought I was going to like The Brutus a lot too, so you never know. Anyway, that's going to do it, y'all. Top 15 coming soon. Bye.